Yeah, I mean, I try and do everything I can to bring other women up. I think there are not enough women founders, CEOs, not enough women getting funded, not enough women in tech because it hasn't been welcoming for them. And so I try and do everything I can to get more women in the tech space, make them successful.
Look, on paper, there isn't a startup that should succeed. On paper, you have no shot at winning. And I know and the stats prove that out too, right?
Right. So absolutely.
But there is something that your company has that your competitors don't. And that's you.
Yeah, and even I have those moments where I panic. I'm like, oh God. But I was like, you know what? Build your network out. Be a positive person.
Yes.
Keep that networking is a huge thing. Keep that network alive, even if it's just a quick email, checking people a text, grab a socially distant coffee wherever you are if you can, or something. Just keep those little fires alive, because you never know where it's all going to lead, whether it's in building your business out in the 10 years down the road.
And if you really want to move up past a director level and get into a VP level or even a C level, it is all about communication and leadership and your ability to connect with and develop people.
I also want to say, like, starting a business is really awful, like really awful. I would actually, unless you are 1,000% sure and kind of borderline insane, I would just say, like, you know, it's much harder than I thought it would be.
I would recommend to people, even if you're early career CEO founder type, is be on at least one other board, but not more than one.
Good.
And if you have and you should, as a CEO, community of other CEOs you hang out with, right? And get on each other's boards, right? Because you each learn a lot by working on someone else's business. It's like a lens back on your own business if you want a sort of business reason to do it.
I would say, though, career-wise, it is so important to learn, always be a student. I'm constantly reading or listening to podcasts. Right now I'm reading the Oxford Handbook of Positive Psychology, which weighs about 2 pounds. I can't prop it up on my lap in bed at night. But you have to stay engaged. You can't think you know everything.
I think the most important thing as a CEO is just the ability to adapt to the activities and the ever-changing activities with the job. Having been part of startup companies, this being my 5th, really from the ground up, idea on a napkin phase to growing a business type experience. Every single one's been a little bit different, but I think incredible CEOs have to be able to be adaptive to what the business is facing at that immediate chapter, and be the best they can be in that arena.
I have a plaque on my desk that I keep that says, "What would you do if you knew you wouldn't fail?"
Ooh.
And so my advice to, my younger Pattie would be like, live large, take those risks, because the worst thing that can happen is you can fail. And, if you fail, you tried, and you did what you thought was the right thing for you and for your company. And so I think just being unafraid is, how I think I want to live my life more unafraid.
It's very common for a lot of young CEOs to have imposter syndrome, where you don't think you should be there and it's a fluke, or you've taken advantage of somebody or something like that. And so first thing I would say is I just want to normalize that. If you're feeling that, that's okay. Almost every young entrepreneur I talk to feels that way at one point or another. So be cognizant of that, and it's okay. Then the next thing I'll say is that, especially if you're hiring employees that are your age or older, you're going to have to walk a fine line where you want to listen to them. They do have a lot of experience and a lot of advice to give.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you hired them. They didn't hire you. And so don't let your imposter syndrome get the best of you, where you feel like you have to kowtow to people that are older than you.
And at the time, I was so remember I told you I had 5 kids. So I had 4 children when I had the idea for Mi Padrino. And I was actually scheduled to get a tubal, so I couldn't have any more babies. Okay. And I was going in to get the blood work done like the week before the operation. They said, Kim, we have to reschedule this. And I'm like, why? They go, because you're pregnant. And I thought my life was over. We had just sold the restaurant. We had just launched, or we had just like put our money into the development team to build what is now Mi Padrino. And I thought, I have to go pitch my company with a big baby bump, and they're gonna look at me just like you did, like 5 kids. And so it was like life was over. So I immediately knew that I had to talk to investors that wouldn't look at my stomach, would just hear my pitch and see the opportunity with the company.
That's the most important thing, Steve. And you mentioned a couple times now in our interview and in our podcast here, is that you have to be truly passionate, that you can't barely sleep. It wakes you up in the middle of the night. You're so passionate about it. If you're going to be successful as an entrepreneur, the highest way you're going to succeed is to have a passion that it's nothing about the damn money. And it's not, oh, let me chase the new Bitcoin idea, or let me chase the new spring water. I'm looking at my bottled water over here. You know, you can't chase something that you are not absolutely passionate about as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
That's a great thing you brought up. You know, there's like all that beauty in actually meeting people in real life, right? I mean, I know with COVID, you know, we all haven't been really able to, especially with, you know, new people, we haven't been able to connect just in person. But, you know, I think that's led people to go online almost and create these different personas on different channels where it's like you're identified based on like all these taggings almost. It's not like, you know, it's like you're identified based on tags, like your views or, you know, your income or like this or that, instead of like, you know, actually just being a human being with another human being, which is so critical that, you know, we've just been missing out on since COVID.
Well, what I hope that this journey that I'm on, and I can help other people, to inspire other people. I don't know if this is in a sentence, but like that it's possible, that we set this 10-year goal and that we worked at it and grinded for 10 years and we're here. Like we got to the spot. This is possible. If you have a vision of what you want to do, you can go get it. You just have to put in the daily work and make it all happen.